We're here again at the 7th Botswana HIV AIDS Conference 2018, which is being held at the GICC in Gaborone. And I am with Wame Mosime. Wame Mosime, can you please tell us a little bit more of what you do? What is your job?
Okay. So thank you. My name is Wame Mosime. I am the Director of Global Programs and Advocacy for an organization called International Treatment Preparedness Coalition.
Right.
Itpc.
Right.
We support, basically our mandate is to support gaining better access to treatment for communities. So we do a lot of advocacy work around the world to educate communities about the latest science of HIV, understand the changes that are occurring in terms of the drugs that are available, what kind of health systems advocacy they need to do to ensure they get better access, collect data and evidence to support their advocacy or do research on the ground. So a lot of it is really facilitating community-led demand creation or demand for better services, better quality of services, and to respond to the health needs and be able to, ensure the basic human right is fulfilled. Everybody wants to access services, everybody wants to live a healthy life, and part of that is being able to empower communities to be able to come to the table and say, this is what matters to me, and this is how you can reach me, and this is how you can support me to better gain access to treatment.
Right. And I remember that something that you said when you did your presentation was the emphasis on empowering communities in order to respond to the virus. Can you please tell us a little bit more of what that means when you say we need to empower the community so that they're also able to support the response to HIV?
Yeah, and maybe I can start with what like the quote of the young person that spoke yesterday.
Yes.
It was really like very heartbreaking because I think we're getting that very wrong. We're programming and we're offering services for recipients of care without actually asking a recipient of care what matters most to me and how is accessing the service, what is the best way of accessing me or supporting me to access the service. So part of our role is to ensure that it's community-led. And by community-led, we mean you educate the person who is receiving the service to understand all the different components of it. What is this drug? Why am I taking it? Why does it matter? How do I adhere? Ask all the tough questions and let them be able to answer those, get information to answer those questions. And essentially then say, well, if this is what I need, then these are the policies that would help me be able to access better services or stay in the system. These are the services, the way the services need to be designed. Maybe, offering a service from 8 to 5 doesn't really make sense. You need to offer a service that's beyond working hours because I work within this time period. Maybe the health facility that I'm trying to access services is too far from where I live. And, coming in every month doesn't make any sense to me. Or, there's a community-based organization that's in my neighborhood and they're offering support group and counseling services. Why can't I get my ART refills over there because I'm adherent, I'm virally suppressed? So really allowing recipients of care to be at the design of what really makes sense going forward. And we talk about the last mile, we talk about the challenges in scaling up, but we're also not talking about the challenges in maintaining quality within the people who are already accessing the service. And we can only get to that quality conversation if you allow for people who are receiving the service to actually talk about some of those challenges that they're encountering.
I'm glad you brought up that she was 19 years old. I remember she asked, a 19-year-old girl who was attending the conference asked yesterday why they're only called during this process and when they're not involved in any other conversations outside of these. So I suppose you actually mentioned also that facilitators should not be afraid of advocacy. They should not be afraid of being told or being asked the hard questions. So tell us a little bit more what you mean by that.
Yeah, and I think advocacy is a healthy part of our introspection in terms of what we're getting right and what we're not getting right. And I think there's always been a fear of, oh my goodness, there comes a group of rebels who are coming to shake things up and tell us what we're not doing right. But it's holding accountability. It's actually saying, well, what you're doing is good, but there are areas that you're not is things that we're not quite getting right. And when you talk about loss of follow-up, when you talk about someone taking a treatment holiday, because we hear a lot of young people saying, you know what, I'm tired of taking these pills. Those are real conversations. And so only through engaging, only through facilitating, supporting communities to advocate about what is not going right in terms of treatment access, can you then improve? So that's why we keep saying, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of having the alternative voice in the room. Don't be afraid of hearing something that we may have not considered. Don't be afraid of someone actually holding us accountable. So it's I think advocacy is a very healthy part of the conversation, and we need to invest more in it. It's a very difficult thing to invest in because sometimes we expect that change happens overnight, but advocacy is something that's a long and ongoing process, and we should see it just as we see M&E as important. We should also see advocacy as part of that very basic systematic or systemic process that we need to do to ensure that we're getting this right.
And when you say M&E, you talk about monitoring and evaluating. So advocacy provides that kind of element.
Exactly, and the two go hand in hand together quite well. The only way you can advocate for a change is if you're actually monitoring over time. And this is part of what we are trying to also facilitate as ITPC, is allowing for communities to actually collect that data. So it's not good enough now to just say, well, the information is collected at health facility level and that should inform national programs. No, we actually need to start having a conversation with recipients of care, allowing them to collect the data to say, well, as a matter of fact, the alternative to what is happening is this. You know, and it's worked in many countries. We've seen where national governments, and it's a natural thing, national governments or stakeholders and processes don't always collect the right type of information. And so allowing communities to do data collection might help us actually collect information that is difficult to actually get data, or is difficult to actually, or we've never thought or considered as part of our data collection processes. Or even stockouts or alerts. You know, this is what's going on, these are the red flags, things that sometimes health facilities themselves are challenged to actually speak up about.
Thank you so much. That was Wame Mosime telling us how important it is that we work together with the community to find the solutions to the HIV epidemic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.